Okay, this chapter is on three-dimensional figures, and we started at the end already, and we did the volume. You've known volume because of science. We've done length times width times height, and that's a very familiar formula. But now we're going to be concerned with something that it looks so much harder, but it really isn't. It just takes a little longer to do, and that's surface area. We had done only volume of rectangular prisms, but now, as you can see by this little picture, we're going to add some other figures to it. So in lesson 1, it's just talking about the different words that we need to use, a lot of vocabulary, how to think about these shapes. We'll do a quick introduction to that, but then it's going to go into specific surface area of prisms. And then in lesson 3, we do surface area of pyramids. So right now we're just going to look at what are the differences and what kinds of words do we need to use as we describe what we're doing. What if I gave it to you in its solid form and I asked you to break it down and give me the surface area? So what would you need to know? You would need to know on the triangles, where is my right angle? So I'm just going to draw that in. So let's say that's my right angle there. And let's give it a value. Let's call it 3. And let's say that the perpendicular line to that, or the base of that triangle, is 7. This is a pyramid, this is a prism, so we know that it has to have the identical thing on the other side. And you see the little dotted lines showing you that there's a triangle on the other side. So we have, let's just write this out, we have 2 triangles, and they are 3 times 7 divided by 2. All right, what else do we have? Well, you can see that we have 3 other bases. So what is that going to look like? So if I draw it out, I have got this rectangle that you see up at the top, but it's got a triangle off of it on both sides. There's that little thing that I drew. There's the right angle. Okay? Sorry, that's pretty sloppy, but that's about the best I can do with this pen, so we'll just have to pretend. All right, so there's my 2 triangles. But then it has these other sides here, which are going to look like this. So on a test, I will not have you draw it out for me, but we are going to practice drawing them out. And you can use a straight edge and a piece of paper, which is a lot easier to use than an iPad. All right, so if we said that the height here is 3 and this is a 7, we also need to know, since this line here and this line here are identical, we need to know what they are. Well, let's say they're a 6. All right, so if that's a 6, that has to be a 6. And this is not, this is going to be a, I think this is going to be a 5. This one is much shorter. So that's a 5, that's a 6, that's a 7. Which means this is a 6. If this here is a 5, then that has to be a 5, and that has to be a 5. You're noticing this is kind of a leaning, not a leaning tower, but a leaning rectangular prism, or triangular prism, because the sides, its 2 sides are not identical. Well, that doesn't matter. When you draw it out, you can see it. Now what's missing? We are missing this either height or base, whichever one we want to call it. And those are always going to have to be the same as they go across there. All right, so that's kind of what we need you to be able to do. This is a little bit harder one, but thankfully the one you're going to practice with is a lot easier. So let's write this all out. So we have two triangles, and we have got, and I'm just, even though I'm adding them, I could add them this way, but I'm going to go down because I can't fit it in any other way. So the first triangle is a 3 by 6, plus the next triangle is a 3 by 7, plus the last triangle is a 3 by 5. And then I suppose I could just add them up this way. So I would prefer that you don't work down on a problem like this. That should be written across and then show your working down. But you get the idea here. So the basic idea here is to break it down into its small parts, figure out the area of each part, and then add them all together. So the last thing you're going to do is a much easier. Make a net just like I did. This time it's with rectangles. Write out the formula and then find the surface area. Make sure that you're working down like we do in order of operations with the answer at the bottom. And we are done.